Hello. Hey. How is everybody doing? Uh, it is my first day off of a 3-day weekend, so we have a lot to cover today. Um, so first off, we're going to cover something that's been on my mind for a little while. 3 months ago, we witnessed the largest character assassination in hip hop history, and I feel like music history as of late. Um, and that was during the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Now, just to recap for a lot of y'all who don't know, Drake and Kendrick Lamar used to be good friends back when Kendrick was first starting in his career, but as time went on and Kendrick realized, his own ambitions and goals, he realized Drake was not the kind of person that he would want to be around. Drake had a habit of sneak dissing in a way that would make it to where only the person he was targeting would be able to know who he was talking about. Meanwhile, if Kendrick ever snuck dissed someone, it would normally be um, easy for somebody to identify who he was talking about. Um, Drake has been under controversy for some time, and that goes all the way back to Millie Bobby Brown. He's been known as a culture vulture for years. People like Pusha T, Rick Ross, Future. Like, there are so many people who have dissed Drake at this point. I feel like it's almost a rite of passage, you know, as a artist. But there's another reason why we're discussing this 3 months later. Um, as some of y'all may remember, one of the most influential artists, I say one of them, from the underground rap scene was Xxxtentacion. And before anybody gets any ideas, yes, I am an Xxxtentacion fan, but I do want to make it clear that I am aware of his criminal history, and I'm also aware of the things he was falsely accused of. He was murdered in 2018, and the guy that murdered him actually called Drake as a witness. Now, mind you, when X had gotten out of jail, he immediately went to an interview and he talked about how Drake stole flows. This is not uncommon for Aubrey Graham. Um, but X was one of the first underground rappers to actually call him out. Like, because Drake was mostly targeting publicly mainstream uh, artists and taking their flow or their culture, mostly Atlanta based. X was from Florida. He's underground. He influenced a lot of the trap metal that we normally see and also the alternative rap game. He was influenced a lot by punk culture and goth culture as well, and emo culture. But ever since X died, Drake has left subtle little disses post mortem in some of his albums. Um, and I kind of want to talk about the fact that when this rap beef became a thing, Kendrick not only stood up for the people who stood with Tupac, that loved Tupac, that supported Tupac, because obviously Drake used AI of Tupac in a diss. But inadvertently, he also stood up for the fans of Xxxtentacion, because Kendrick showed the world who Drake really was. On top of that, Kendrick has always been an X fan. Like, since X started making the major hits. He promoted the album 17. He threatened to remove his contract with Spotify if they didn't allow Xxxtentacion to have his music on the platform, because he felt like it was discrimination to pick and choose different artists to promote. Does that make sense? And so Kendrick has always supported X in some form or fashion. And I feel because of that and the fact that this beef went on, it was very, very impactful to us Xxxtentacion fans. And I kind of want to go over a recap of why dissing Drake was important by going through the stories of the beef between X and Drake. So, if you're cool with that, we're going to sit down and discuss that. I'm going to play the interview first, and then Blackie Speaks did a really good expose.
I'm a beast.
You know how to switch the roles up. Yeah. What's the situation between you and Drake? Do you guys have beef? Are you guys cool? Like, what's the situation? What's going on?
All right, I'm gonna keep it. I was waiting on this.
Talk to me.
I was waiting for you at the door.
Yes. Me too.
I don't blame you.
All right, so look, the nigga hit up. I'm like I ain't even on that snitching that shit.
Keep it blood raw. Keep it blood raw.
I got to, cause like I don't want nobody coming at me crazy. You feel me? Like I saw it, bro. You feel me? Like I wasn't in the wrong. Bro hit up a DJ that I fuck with.
Who did?
Drake.
Okay.
Drake hit up a DJ that I fuck with. You feel me? And bro told me, he was like, yo, the nigga Drake watched your interview. He said he fuck with you and he fuck with your partner Ski Mask. He's like, yo, he's saying he go call your manager within the next few days.
Okay.
So I'm
okay, yeah. Anybody who's an underground artist, knowing full well that a mainstream artist is interested in you, would absolutely be excited. Like, absolutely.
I'm amped up. Nigga, I fuck with Drake.
Yeah.
You feel me? Drake a genius.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Despite me disrespecting him as a man, because I can't respect him as a man, I respect that nigga career. That's a GOAT.
Okay.
That's a GOAT.
So you know how to differentiate the two?
I know.
He's separating the artistry from the person in this. And I feel like, you know, that plays into the business side of things. He's handling it from a business perspective when this first started out.
Corporately, that nigga is the GOAT.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I knew what I was doing when I said what I said, and I knew how to approach him. Because I know where he can't beat me at.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, initially, he was supposed to contact one of my managers. So, he doesn't do it. That same fucking week, bro. I go on to, well, I can't go on to it, obviously, because I'm locked up. But
yeah.
I'm on the securest phone, you feel me, for this shit.
So, you in jail, he's supposed to contact your manager, and then what happened?
He dropped the fucking video of previewing that shit in Amsterdam with some nigga from the UK. You know what I'm saying? He dropped the video. I was talking to my girl at the time, not the same bitch that got me arrested, a different girl.
Okay.
I was talking to her at the time, and she was like, yo, listen to, no, actually, fuck that. It was my dog, Chris. I was on the phone with my dog, Chris. He was like, yo, you gotta listen to this shit. This nigga Drake a fault nigga. That's exactly what he said.
So, he was talking to somebody in prison, on the phone, and apparently something had happened to cause them to fall apart. Now, we already know this, but I'm recapping for the people that either forgot or don't know. A lot of people, like in newer generations and stuff, don't remember Xxxtentacion or don't know who he was. And he had a vision. Like, once he got out of jail, he was trying to get his life right. He had a vision for wanting to impact people through his music, kind of like Kendrick did, you know? Only Kendrick did it through the role model of Pac. X did it without, like, really any specific inspirations. Like, he does have some small ones here and there, but at the same time, if X were still alive, he would definitely be in the same level as Kendrick. I feel like they should have been able to collaborate together because they have a similar intellect and mindset and a similar eccentric behavior to them.
This nigga Drake a fuck nigga. You gotta listen to this shit. So he plays this shit. I hear da 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 my done. I'm like, what the fuck? As soon as it started, like I knew he was getting that. And the funny thing,
So he's talking about the flow is from Look at Me. He took the flow from Look at Me and used it in the album that he dropped. That same week, he was supposed to call Joss's managers.
thing is, we didn't discover it. The fan, like you said, the fans, because they're so cold. Like it's like I got a piece of the internet. You feel me?
So they were saying that Drake was biting your style. That's what
Definitely.
the fans were saying.
Yeah. Flow, hell yeah, bro. You could take his verse, like they did a mashup. They put his verse on my song, and the cadence is literally just at the same tempo. It's not offbeat at all. And then
Yeah, it's at the same beat and everything. So he definitely stole that from this man, and he shouldn't have.
if you listen to my song and then you listen to the bro song, like you could, bro, we all
Let's
not
see.
dumb. Yeah, go.
Isn't a mashup on your Instagram page?
No,
That's not. Okay, where is it? Where can we find this?
You can just look up Xxxtentacion Drake mashup.
Xxxtentacion Drake.
Or just look up Drake mashup or something.
So now, where do you guys stand? Like, what's good now?
I still think Drake a fuck nigga. I'm keeping a blood raw. I still think Drake a fuck nigga. Like,
And I don't blame him for having this perspective, because he took something iconic from X and tried to make it his own out of jealousy.
I think he's not a man. I think he's a bitch. That's a bitch move. Especially when I was in jail facing life, bro. You know what I'm saying? If Drake would have came to my barn hearing, you know what I'm saying, that would have made my fucking day. If he would have showed that he's a hospitable person and that he's really in this shit for the culture, rather than being a fuck nigga.
This is something that Kendrick has said too. Drake is not in it for the culture. He is not in it for the people. He's in it for the clout. And that is something that X said 7 years ago in this interview.
Nigga taking my shit, running off with it, and then putting it on his album, then he would have got my kudos. He would have got my respect. I would have let him hop on the remix, take 100% royalty rate. I would have done it because I know I can maintain. You know what I'm saying? And I would have appreciated him for being a real nigga. But Drake not a real nigga.
So, anything now, like moving forward, it happened. You can't take it back.
I'm gonna make the world hate me. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be the super villain. I'm gonna make this whole thing crumble.
People like the villains.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Rico, that. Hey, shouts to the Paul Ryan.
The thing with X is that, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but on the surface, on the media and music side, he played the villain. But on the side of what he did outside of music, he was fundamental in helping a lot of people. He donated to charities. He would go to schools and teach these kids about hardships in life. And I think he did a thing where he went to a children's group home for kids that are awaiting the foster system in Florida. And he brought them toys as well, while also teaching them about life. Because a lot of kids at that age looked up to him. They were like, elementary school kids, like lower elementary, pre-K through 2, stuff like that. But he did it in a way that made it to where the kids would actually think without it being too complicated. And I mean, X was also he was a kid. He was a dude that loved what he was doing and loved the people that he was around. And Kendrick has that same level for Compton, for the culture, for what hip-hop was to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they set him up, if you ask me. Because when I was on. See, the fucked up thing is, it don't matter how you get out. If they got a hold on you, they trying to violate you.
All right. So
Back to Drake getting called as a.
That was the interview that X had right after he got out of jail. Now we're going to listen to Blackie Speaks talk about the disses between Xxxtentacion toward the disses from X towards Drake, and why there was a whole thing with that. And then we're going to go into the post-mortem disses of Drake to X on his various albums. That way, we kind of have a clear comprehension of what happened there, and why Kendrick became so important.
A witness, Dedrick Williams, which was the alleged getaway driver in the murder of X, hope he dies slow, his lawyer submitted a witness list to the court and Drake's name was on it. Essentially, it was being stated by his lawyer that the boy Aubrey, of all people, was somehow involved in X's death. And you know that Instagram story X put up a couple months before he passed?
Yeah, I saw this the day it dropped, because I followed X on Instagram. He was very interactive with his fans. He liked when fans sent him fan art, and I've talked about this on a previous stream. I actually sent him a portrait sketch I did of him during his White Dread era, mere hours before he was killed.
If anyone tries to kill me with champagne poppy, I'm snitching right now, X said. Well, that IG story was referenced by the lawyer as quote-unquote proof that Drake was involved. In the end, nothing really came out of this because the judge who's handling the X case ruled that Drake's involvement in the death of Xxxtentacion was non-existent. Aside from this, another thing that inspired this video is this one line from Drake and 21 Savage's album, Her Loss. The line I'm referring to is, I want to call a possible shot, a possible diss aimed at the late X. But before we talk about that, let's actually talk about this beef. I want to give you some context as to how this beef actually started in the first place. We're going to revisit it, look at.
So he is going to go into one of the tracks. There are quite a few that we want to talk about, and I will get to them. But we're going to let Blackie Speaks say what he needs to say.
What happened? What did X say? What did Drake respond back with? What was X thinking as he was going at Drake for what he felt like was foul?
No matter what anybody says, I didn't initiate shit. This nigga ran off with my shit. Everybody knew he ran off with my shit, and they just trying to tell me to basically be quiet.
Wow, I just built the most amazing workflow on Monday.com.
You build your own workflow? Why? There are a bunch of amazing premium
Hold on.
tactics you can...
Hold on. Let me mute this right quick. Alright. Unmute. Okay.
Back in 2017, while Drake was out in Amsterdam on tour performing, he previewed a record, which was KMT from his More Life project. The snippet/preview of the record went viral on social media for two reasons. Number one, we're talking about Drake. When he previews any music, it goes kinda crazy, right? But the other reason was, of course, like a lot of us know, the flow on KMT sounded very much like another song that was blowing up at the time by this new artist who was on a rise, who at the time was actually locked up. The artist went by the name of Xxxtentacion. This little KMT snippet started a war, and X wanted all the smoke. In X's first interview, right when he was fresh out of prison, he told the story behind why he really called out Drake. According to X, Drake apparently reached out to someone close to X and was sending love after he had came across an X interview. According to X,
I'm doing a stream. Right. Oh. That's for Easy Mart. Okay. I'll take a look at that later. It's probably for insurance stuff.
Yeah, get some insurance, man.
Okay.
Drake was really fucking with.
Make sure they got dental.
I will.
Alright, I vacuumed in there. All I need to do is mop them for you to get rid of either the cat stuff or I'll just take it over to Chris's.
Well, the litter box we gotta throw away, but the rest we can take to Chris's.
All it needs is one vacuum, so all it needs now is to be mopped and stuff moved around to wherever you want to move it.
Okay. Do we have a mop bucket? Or is it just that that empty pot? Okay. I'll get to that this evening. Thank you, love. Jesus.
X, and he was also really fucking with his
What? I'm gonna throw it away. Okay. Goober.
partner, brother, and friend, Ski Mask. Apparently Drake, according to X, was supposed to contact him around that time. This was right before that KMT snippet surfaced. Despite the state of things, even after the flow stealing accusations, even after all this had happened, X was still in the interview, showing love to Drake by saying, even though I disrespected him as a man, I still think he's a genius, he's a great artist, and has my respect. So Drake was apparently...
Jesus, X, I've never seen this video. What? That was the training you were doing, my guy?
supposed to contact him, right? And as X is in jail, the KMT snippet of Drake performing in Amsterdam surfaced, and this is what X said regarding that.
Then again, X was a fighter. There was somebody that came to his tour armed and was talking shit, and he broke his old boy's nose and beat him nearly to death, and I think either posted it on social media or he used it as an album cover for something. I can't remember.
Bro hit up a DJ that I
Who did?
Drake.
Okay.
Drake hit up a DJ that I with. You feel me? And
We're gonna skip over this part because we already covered it. Yes. Cause
Things later escalated to X taking out his frustration on Drake through Twitter. I'm not gonna say no names.
okay. So apparently he didn't just steal Look at Me. But apparently Hotline Bling also stole from his song Cha Cha. I don't know if that's from his members only days or his solo stuff. But still.
But it's funny how one of my niggas hit me up saying, Drake, watch your interview and fucks with you. X said. Now this pussy nigga trying to play it safe and play it innocent. But it's cool. We all know Hotline Bling was a bite of Cha-Cha. Just some context behind what X said right there. I'm sure you're familiar with Hotline Bling by Drake. Virginia artist Drum back in early 2015 dropped a record called Cha-Cha. The song...
Oh, it wasn't X's. Okay. Good to know.
I would at least consider the original Hotline Bling. Drum rapped on a sample first. Drake did the same thing just a few months later with a little twist, right? After Hotline Bling came out, Drum strongly felt like Drake jacked his entire record, and just like Xxxtentacion, he spoke out against Drake on Twitter, saying that performing in Toronto, Drake City, was bittersweet because people were comparing Cha-Cha to Hotline Bling. That's what X was referring to on the tweet, and for the record, by the way, Drake actually dissed Drum on her loss on this one line when he said, "Try to bring the drama to me, he ain't know how we cha-cha slide." Now, interesting...
Which I think is awful. Like, why would you were at fault here, Drake? You have no reason to sneak diss like that. But we all know Drake is good at sneak dissing, I guess.
Enough, Drum actually responded to this diss on her loss and revealed something. He stated that Drake's bodyguards, I guess, ran up on him and beat him up. This entire situation went down like over 7 years ago, so the fact that Drake dissed Drum all these years later, that is a sign that he does hold grudges. He doesn't let shit go if he feels like you disrespected him. As for this X...
Yeah, Drake has done some shit to people over pettiness.
Story. X died over 4 years ago. He also disrespected X, and I think that's relevant to bring up. Back to the X tweets. I'm not the first nigga he bit, nor will I be the last. Drake a pussy nigga. Money don't buy you respect, X said. X continued and said, Drake's career is almost over, and he better start investing money into real estate. Oh, this man was seeing red. Okay, that's a crazy statement even back then, but he said once it's all over, he really gonna see the quote-unquote fake love.
And the thing is, Kendrick also said the same thing. The money is not what most people are in hip-hop for. Drake is the only one that likes being famous.
Also said a couple things about Drake's mother. He called her cute and said that he wanted to hit it. X also posted this very interesting picture where it appears that Drake had a dig in his mouth. It wasn't him, it was a lookalike, by the way. Obviously, I won't show that because I'm not trying to get demonetized. After X absolutely obliterated Drake on social media, Drake responded to him on an interview and said this.
Like the other day, you know, I dropped the song with Gigs, and I'm seeing all this on my IG under like some random picture of people being like, you took this kid's flow or whatever, right? So I'm just like, yo, what's happening?
Yeah, you did, Drake. You did. We know. We know.
To me right now, you know? So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to read, like, figure out who they're talking about. I find out who they're talking about.
Is this the Xxxtentacion guy?
I don't even think that's how you say his name. But yeah, that's
I tried to practice.
They call him X.
Xxxtentacion.
But, so anyway, I go and I find what song they're talking about, you know, and I listen to it. I'm like, okay, I see where people could draw like this comparison off of like the first two lines, whether it be the cadence or the rhyme pattern, or whatever, you know, and I'm just like, yo, it's crazy that people think that after all this time, after all I've been through, that
You haven't. I hate getting mad because Kendrick has already fucking addressed this. Pusha T has. Future has. We know that Drake has never been through shit. You know, not like X and Kendrick, not like the culture that.
I'm the type of person to go pre some song that's on SoundCloud. It doesn't have like
Well, okay, so my mic cut off, but what I was trying to say is that Kendrick already addressed it, Pusha T already addressed it, Future already addressed it. We know that Drake has never gone through anything like most of these hip hop artists have. He is foreign to the culture. He is only digging up the scraps. We know. So I'm trying not to get mad. But it's bad that I hate hearing this man's voice.
2 plays. It has plays. You know, he has his cult following. And go and think that I'm gonna like take that and make it my own. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not like a person like that, you know?
In an interview with DJ Academics from early 2018, Xxxtentacion gave some additional details about why he really went at Drake. Part of the reason was disappointment and anger, as X said. According to X, Drake was actually one of his favorite artists before this entire thing went down. This is what he said about it on this very passionate rant about the situation.
Go check out Lil Bro. Go check out Lil Bro. You feel me? Go look at his music. Boom. Then I would have shut up. But otherwise, it's like you tried to sacrifice me, bro. You tried to sacrifice me. I'm facing life, which was one of my favorite rappers. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody love Drake, bro. And I'm not going to say no names, nigga. A DJ hit me up. Not only a DJ, my manager at the time hit me up. Said, yo, this nigga Drake hit us up and he wants to talk to you. He said he watched the interview. He fucks with you. Bro, on God, bro. On my fucking life, bro. My mom, bro. My mom, fam. These niggas hit me up and said this shit, bro.
So from X's perspective,
he feels backstabbed and betrayed. Well, he did. He's no longer with us, obviously. But he felt backstabbed and betrayed, and I don't blame him. It was cruel to do.
it wasn't just about the flow. The flow was just one little part about why he went at him. It had more to do with the fact that X at the time, given the fact that he was facing a substantial amount of time in prison, felt betrayed by this artist that he looked up to. This artist who allegedly stole his flow, pretended like he didn't really know who he was, and also didn't offer a helping hand. No pun intended. Do I think X took the right approach to this entire thing?
Oh yeah, we gotta shout out Travis Barker, because Travis Barker did an amazing job with some of the songs on 17 and on Question Mark too.
I don't think so. I think X was extremely emotional during this whole ordeal, and he happened to take out his anger on Drake because he had so many things that were going wrong in his life at the time, despite the success he was seeing. That being the case, despite the extreme measures he took, I can see why things turned out the way they did. As a new artist, like X was, seemingly having your creation stolen from you by one of the biggest artists in the world will obviously create a chip on your shoulder. And since X was an extreme artist in every way possible, Drake saw the wrath of his anger, and that's that. Aside from that, the most recent possible diss aimed at X is what Drake said on the record on BS from Her Loss. So on a record on BS from Her Loss, Drake says the following: damn, maybe I should do a 20, maybe I should break that 20, do a 10, maybe I should break that 10.
Okay, yeah. If he held his tongue on that live, he'd be alive again. Damn. Man, we already know. We already know. You are gloating at the fact that you got this man killed.
Do a 5, then if it gets live, do a 5 again. And on this part right here, the apparent X diss, he says if he held his tongue on a live, he'd be alive again. Damn. Exactly what live could Drake be talking about? Well, there's a lot of instances where X dissed Drake, but the specific live he could be talking about is this one right here.
Dude, just drop a diss on Drake and end his career. Nah, I'm not finna shoot the gun. If he not pussy, he'll diss me. I want him to diss me first. I counterattack. I always counterattack. I don't initiate things. I always counterattack. Just like in this situation, no matter what anybody says, I didn't initiate shit. This nigga ran off on my shit. Everybody knew he ran off on my shit, and they just trying to tell me to basically be quiet. No, y'all can suck my anybody that want me to be quiet, and not antagonize this nigga and keep talking about this nigga and disrespecting the fuck out this nigga, then you can suck my dick and kill yourself. Anybody that wants me to turn the, anybody that bitch.
I mean, he's got a point. Like, he needs to speak out about this. He already said that he's not the first person this has happened to. So, and X is known for calling people out on their shit. Like, he knows that he had the voice for it.
He wants me to turn around and get fucked in the ass. That, my nigga, bruh, nobody's gonna openly disrespect the fuck out of me and disrespect my craft when I'm 19 years old. That motherfucker, what is he, like 60? Like 65? Or isn't he? Didn't he get like surgery on his arms or some shit? Didn't he get like plastic surgery? Then you go see like...
He called out the plastic surgery and the BBL before we really saw it come out from anybody else. At least, that's what it seems.
Dr. 300 like 3 times?
Personally, if you ask me, given everything we've talked about, I do think this was a subtle shot at X. Judging from the story we talked about with Drum, Drake dissed Drum over 7 years after he had called him out. So I don't think this line right here he dropped, seemingly aimed at X, can be brushed off as nothing, especially given the history. There's also a couple other things I want to bring up, and I talked about this particular story back in 2018, but the Sicko Mode music video. On a Sicko Mode music video, for anyone who doesn't know, there's this little scene on the music video around 4 minutes and 23 seconds when Drake says out like a light, and then a meteor drops on his character in the music video that appears to be Xxxtentacion.
I didn't even know about this one. How you gonna do X dirty like that?
Looking at the screen right now, there's the character right there, and if you ask me, that does look a lot like X. But the character, of course, ends up dying, and till this day, there's still conversations about whether or not that was X. On June 29, 2018, 11 days after the death of Xxxtentacion, Drake, of course, dropped his Scorpion album, and on the song Mob Ties, he said the following: Louis bags in exchange for body bags is the lyrics.
X had a Louis Vuitton bag in his car the day that he died, when he was purchasing a motorcycle.
Like most of us know, at this point, died after he was the victim of a robbery. He had 50 racks in his Louis bag. So here's another thing a lot of people have been bringing up. Was that a shot at X? I don't think it was specifically at X, but then again, who knows? It could be. We're talking about Drake. Also, the line from I'm Upset when he says, I go out on tour and I say I'm drinking less, end up getting loose, end up getting pictures from my ex, SMS, triple X. That's the only time I ever shoot below the neck. Why you keep on shooting if you know that nigga dead? That's the only kind of shit that gets you some respect.
This was a direct shot. Like, nobody can refute this one. You could probably refute the other ones a little bit, you know. It could be anybody, really. But given the context of what we know, it leans more towards X. This is direct. This is a direct shot.
This entire situation, beef or deal, whatever you want to call it, shortly after X's passing, Ski Mask linked up with Drake and stated that he was a fan of X and that he wanted positivity for all of them. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but that's what Ski Mask the Slump God one of the closest people to X, said. So that's Xxxtentacion and Drake beef revisited. Any thoughts on his beef?
Whatever Ski Mask and Drake have going on, that's them. Ski is still doing his own thing. But we just have to keep this in mind. This is the recap. And then if we look in, we've already seen the beef with Kendrick. But we have to remember that Drake is a culture vulture, and we have to remember that this is not the first person he's done this to. I think he's still got beef with The Weeknd and Pharrell as we speak. And if Kendrick is correct, then the embassy will get raided soon. Now, I wholeheartedly believe Drake is a pedophile as well. And he is going to get his dues. But, yeah, that's all that I wanted to discuss with this. We're going to go on to the next thing, which we're going to be talking about Mama Max's return. Because he decided to come back to YouTube. So, give me a sec. I gotta go find Munahar's video on it. Because I'm going into this blind. But yeah,